everybody. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. I'm here with is known as Talent and Fig. These guys have been in the comedy world for a very long time. Like I say all the time, they've been in it since, I don't know, definitely since before I was married, that's for sure. They've been in the comedy world, military bases. I got to ask you all about the military bases one of these days, about going on because I don't know that was like on a comedy perspective. They've been in film festivals. They've done all that. Now they are in something we call a sports comedy talk show. And gentlemen, how you guys doing today?
Well, we're good. We're eating.
I see you both are eating.
Yes, sir.
What's up with that?
And let me tell you something, man. I got some of the worst addictive cookies you ever wanted to eat in your life. Those Entenmann's little chocolate chip cookies. Yeah. Man, listen.
Hey, man, don't be giving no free publicity up here, but we can't do that. We can't be giving no free publicity. All right, let's jump into the show, y'all. Let's get ready to get this thing started. We normally have a COVID report to start this thing off, and my only thing I can find on the COVID report today is the Toronto Blue Jays are moving back to Buffalo starting June 1st. Obviously, they're being a Canadian team, and because now the COVID restrictions are lightening up, so now they're going to be able to move back in. I haven't found anything more on the NBA executives who were under the microscope because of basically, failing for safety protocol. So that's that. But now I got to do the headlines. I'm going to start off the top headline I want to talk about is Major League Baseball umpire Angel Hernandez. He made a wrong call. He admitted to making a wrong call last night because he said he was blinded by the outfield scoreboard. Now, the play was basically, it was a pop-up. Andrew Benintendi was on second base. The outfielder seemed to have dropped the ball. Kind of, you couldn't tell if he caught it or dropped the ball. He really originally caught the ball, but because of the discrepancy and running into other people and everything else, you couldn't tell. They reviewed the play. During the review, right, he was called and said, no, he didn't drop the ball. It was an out when he clearly had dropped the ball. Now, during the game, after they had the review, they still stuck with the wrong call. Afterwards, after the game, I'm going to repeat this again. After the game, Angel Hernandez came out and said he made the wrong call. Now, this seems super fishy to me, and it puts Major League Baseball under the suspect light again. I'm gonna throw the ball out to you, Talent. You tell me what you think. When you didn't, I don't even know if you saw the replay or not. But when you just hear this, what you think?
Well, when you say that they reviewed the call and still stuck with the bad call, and then after the game, I don't even understand. I mean, kudos to anybody that's reffing or anything that admits to making a wrong call, because that's hard to find.
Right.
If you don't have it on videotape, they taking that to the grave. So the person came up after the fact and said, I made a bad call. But how do you review it, see what it is, and still stick with the bad call? See, that's where I'm confused at. I mean, I applaud, the aftermath, but that part right there is a little fishy to me. Super fishy, actually.
Well, the thing is that drives me insane is he, even though he came up and admitted that he said, yeah, I made the wrong call, he still what was the difference between you saw during the game that you saw afterwards that you couldn't admit during the game and overturn the call? That's the thing I have a problem with. And Fig, I'm throwing it to you. Isn't that the reason why people are really up in the air about baseball? I mean, that's the problem that baseball has.
Man, baseball has some of the weirdest unwritten rules, and this is not even one of them. This is not an unwritten rule. Look, that's why you have instant replay, so you can get the call right. That's the only reason for instant replay, because guess what? We're human beings and we make errors. Human beings make mistakes. So we got cameras, and the cameras don't make a mistake. The camera's going to show you exactly what happened. So you mean to tell me that they looked at the camera, they saw what actually happened, and they stuck with the wrong call anyway? Man, baseball got the craziest rules, man. You can't look at the other team player the wrong way. If you hit a home run, you can't stand there a long time and look at your home run. You can't flip the bat. This dude is chewing and man, baseball, the rules is just crazy, man. And then the game is 4 to 5 hours long, and unless you're a retired senior citizen, you ain't even got time to watch the game.
Unless you ain't get that. That
make a lot of sense, though. I never thought of looked at it that way. 4 or 5 hour game, and mostly older people like baseball. The man bladder got to be blowing up.
Baseball's so slow. You could go to the bathroom during the pitch. It's pitch 1. Let me go to the bathroom. Because it's an older sport. Baseball is over 120 years old. Baseball is America's pastime. It's been around for a very long time. That's why older people are watching it because they grew up with it at that time. You know what I mean?
Wait, did you hear what you just said, Frank? Right. It's America's pastime. That means if you don't have nothing else to do and you need to pass some time, you just sit there and watch a baseball game. And by the time the game is over, enough time will have passed, and basically it'll be time for you to die.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say all that. I'm not going there. Not with the time for you to die part. I'm not going. All right, let's move on to the next story. But the next story is that the Atlanta Braves pitcher Huascar Ynoa hit a grand slam for Atlanta. Atlanta beat Washington 6-1, and he better be in the top dogs. Fig, hint, hint. He had 2 home runs in 2 days.
Man, if you don't stop,
hold on, let me finish.
With my top dogs, man.
He had two home runs in 2 days, and one was a grand slam. That dude is killing it for baseball. So you got him in the American League. Actually, he's in the National League. You got him, and you got the Japanese pitcher out there in Anaheim Angels. It looks like pitchers now coming to play the game. Talent, like it looks like now, not only can they pitch, they could also hit the ball. Because I can't remember. Well, I don't really follow baseball intently. I'm sure that it's out there, but I cannot remember in my recent memory 2 pitchers hitting grand slams or even home runs in a 2-week span. But that's just my opinion. I don't know. Talent, you tell me what you think about just one pitcher hitting a grand slam. What you think about this last night?
Well, I mean, obviously, you got to dig deep to if it exists in history. You got to dig super deep. I mean, that's phenomenal, bro. Like that's the part of if we talk about how boring things are. If we could set our watches to this type of play, the grand slams of the games and all that, baseball Fig wouldn't be talking about it the way he is now. Like if we knew that we would watch a game and we would get 1, 2, 3 of these a game and all types of heroic stuff happens and is moving like that, it would change the whole landscape of what baseball is. I mean, this is great, but look how far you got to go search to when it happened again. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's the truth. Now let me nag Fig and say, Fig, top dog? Is this my man gonna be a top dog?
Listen, first off, let me tell you how bad pitchers used to hit back in the day. Pitchers were so bad at hitting. If you're in a game and you got the bases loaded and the pitcher's the next dude up, they usually sub him out. They usually do a pinch hit and let somebody else hit for the pitcher and put somebody else in the game. That's how bad pitchers are. So for these guys to come up and to be hitting, the way that they are, man, it just pumps a little more excitement into the possibilities of what baseball could be if they would just get off those old rules and try and do something to enhance or speed the game up, a la what they did in the NFL and the NBA. Baseball's the only one holding on to those old rules that are just boring and tired.
Right. I got an idea. How about make it 1 out an inning? Like that's it. You got everything got to be fast. That's 3 outs. Do 1 out. That'll speed everything up real fast. Look, make no mistakes. 1 out.
Turn it into the Bugs Bunny pitch. He pitch it 1, 2, 3, strikes you out.
Let me talk about another thing that I'm sure is going to hit home for you guys. The New York Yankees last night, they let Altuve have it. Jose Altuve, if you guys know from Houston Astros, he was the key instrument for the Houston Astros being caught cheating because when he hit the home run it was against the Yankees in the ALCS. He's coming home and he's wearing that microphone thing and everybody's going up and, everybody's screaming, yeah. When he's coming home to the plate, he's telling them, no, don't hit me because he literally had the thing here on his. So last night was the first time coming to bat in Yankee Stadium. They let him have it, bro. They let him have it. 12,000.
As
Yeah.
they should. You're
12,000
damn disgrace to the league.
He was. 12,000 fans was in there making it sound like the place was packed. He didn't do anything except do a pop out. I don't even think he even got on base last night. Do you think that this type of stuff aggravates the players when they come up to the bat?
Absolutely. I don't care what sport it is. When you pick to play in a sport, a professional sport, the fans are everything. Right. Everything you do is to gain those accolades and that praise from the fans. So whenever you go somewhere and you get booed or heckled, that bothers the hell out of them, bro. I know a lot of ex-athletes that those are their stories that they tell.
Right.
The arenas and venues they went to and they got booed or heckled or somebody threw something at them. Those stories, they never forget.
Yeah.
They never forget.
Do you think, I'm going to ask you this question, Fig. Do you think that Jose Altuve cheating is going to be something that's going to follow him for the rest of his life? And you think he'll ever be able to shake it?
No, man. Well, baseball has a long memory also. So if you do something during your playing years, no matter how good or how exceptional you are, it can keep you out of the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. Because those guys, they are so staunch on their rules and regulations. If you do anything to violate the rules and regulations of Major League Baseball, I don't care what your record says, and I don't care how great of a player you were, they will keep you out of the Hall of Fame. They will not let you into the Hall of Fame. And I can't fault them for that part. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. But this guy, man, that was hilarious, man. And the Yankees, man, New York is probably one of the toughest towns to play as an opponent, any sport, and Philadelphia too.
Yeah, New York.
We always joke about Philly because they booed Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's listen, New York, Philly, Boston, LA are tough markets to play in. I don't care what market you in, they tough markets to play in. I'm gonna leave this last question about the Yankees and just say this. I'm gonna ask you guys both this and everything else. Do you think the Yankees, because they're not playing good baseball at all, do you think this could be one of the games, something like that could turn, a team around? You know what I mean? I'm sorry with you, Talent. What do you think?
Absolutely. Definitely. I mean, you definitely could turn the team around. And there's always teams in baseball more than any other sport that need to be turned around. So somebody need a little bit of that magic. You know what I mean? It definitely could happen.
Big, what you think?
It only takes a little bit to get a team, going and get them on a run. Right. A couple guys get a couple of hits. Like the guy, the pitcher getting a grand slam, and the next thing you know, your whole team catch fire.
Right. In baseball, it's one thing about baseball, unlike any other sport. All you need is a spark. You know what I mean? Like you get a spark, boy, the whole team could be ignited and y'all could be off to the races. You know what I mean? Listen, it just depends on the team, depends on the clubhouse, but it can happen with any baseball team. I don't care what nobody says. Now let me talk about the hottest topic. I cut on the sports thing. I turned on everything, and this topic was everywhere, even Boston local sports talk and everything else. Two things about one subject. Brett Favre came on and he said, I don't care how you all cut it and everything else, Aaron Rodgers can hold the grudge, and he said, I don't see Aaron Rodgers coming back to the Packers. Then at the same time, the same story was released that the Packers believed that the 49ers and the Broncos tampered with Aaron Rodgers right before the draft, and they were trying to see if he wanted to come and play for the team. Now, the crazy thing about that is if that's true, because the Packers are alluding to that, and they're asking the NFL to get to an investigation. If that's true, that literally puts the ball in the Packers management court to do whatever they want and how they want. And possibly put some type of fines and stuff to the other teams. So I'm going to ask you this, Talent. You hear about these two situations. First of all, the tampering, that the Packers are levying, and that Brett Favre said Aaron Rodgers holds a grudge. What's your first thought when you hear about that?
Well, I know he helped. First of all, the tampering part, I mean, is it tampering at this point? You know what I mean? If somebody say they want to get out of somewhere, I really don't think it's tampering is when you just go to somebody out of nowhere and be like, hey, man, you need to come over here. Stop playing, That's tampering. But if you go, I want to get out of here. I go, for real? Like, you know what I mean? Like if you say, I want out of this place, and I just happen to go, for real? Why don't you, what's up? What can we do? To me, that's not tampering. As far as the grudge part, I know he holds a grudge by his face in that last game.
Right.
Yo, they didn't have the sound on, but when the coach made the call, we're gonna go with the defense. The camera was on Aaron Rodgers leaving the field and the defense running out. And I forgot which guy he made like contact with, but he like made contact when the defender's going out and he's coming off. And he was like, "Do your fucking job."
Yeah.
I said, "Damn." So when it didn't work and the time ran off the clock and clearly they lost, the hug between him and Brady, the grudge was still there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, normally they look at each other, good, tap the helmets, good, you did it, you pulled it off. Yo, he didn't even look at Brady. He was so disgusted. Brady was like, yo, good. He was like,
yeah, before I throw it to Fink, he does hold a grudge because ever since he got drafted, he thought San Francisco was going to draft him, and they didn't draft him. He made sure he beat them almost every time. I don't think the 49ers might have beat him twice, maybe 3 times. I don't know. I'm going to have to check. But they didn't beat him a lot in his career because he was really upset at the Niners because he was from San Francisco. He really upset at them. So, Fink, I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you think, number one, Aaron Rodgers is going to definitely hold the grudge? And do you think that what Brett Favre said is true? And do you think that teams tampered with him off-site, right before the draft to see if they could get him? What's your thoughts?
Well, the thing about Aaron Rodgers holding the grudge, Aaron Rodgers holding a grudge with his own family. Like, yo, do you know that how is strained the relationship is between him and his own family, like his immediate family, like, mother, father, brothers and stuff like that. Like, he'll hold a grudge with them. So what do you think he's going to do about some people he don't really know? Like, he didn't grow up with them. That's not his family. It's his team. You know what I mean? It's his family team, but it's not his family. And as far as the tampering, Green Bay did all the tampering first. Right. When they hired his replacement, that was tampering. You was tampering with the fact that you had one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL on your team and you tried to replace him. That was tampering. Right. So you basically pushing him out the door. Here's the thing. Analogy. Here's the thing. When you tell your woman that she ain't that great and that you really don't care whether she stays or goes, like, look, you lucky that I'm even with you. You know what I mean? You can bounce if you want to. When the next guy decides that he's interested, that's not tampering. You did that. That's your fault. You did that to yourself. So you don't want him. Now somebody else want him. Now all of a sudden it's a big deal.
First of all, that was a very good analogy.
For the record, I was about to say, for the record, that's a daily analogy.
Right. And secondly, Fig is right. Aaron and Buck Rogers haven't spoke in 20 years.
The one thing I forgot completely about the Aaron Rodgers, the Tampa, the holding grudge with his family. I completely forgot all about that. I think it's with his brothers or something. I don't know who it was, but I think it is something. I forgot all about that. Let me ask you guys the next thing, because at the end of the day, I saw this story this morning. And I thought it was hilarious. Urban Meyer said he's going to give Tim Tebow another tryout to come down because he liked his last tryout he had a couple of days ago. And it looked like right now, as it is, Tim Tebow is trying out for a tight end position with the Jaguars. Now, first of all, I'm going to ask you, Talent, do you think Tim Tebow is either going to even make the team? And B, if possible, will he be a difference maker as a tight end in the NFL? What do you think, Talent?
Hell no. Tim Tebow crazy. Tim Tebow need to get drafted by the nearest church or Christian academy. He one of them weird dudes that you just can't call it. You tried this, you tried that, you did the baseball, you did the quarterback, and now you said tight end?
Yep.
Yeah, he one of them weird dudes, man. But if nothing else, at least he will go in there, and whoever's not saved on the team will get saved that season. So if he makes he makes the roster, you'll have a very religious save. Put it this way: everybody is going to get to go to heaven.
Everybody going to get to go to heaven. Vic, what you think, bro?
It's kind of hilarious, man. that when Tim Tebow was in the NFL, the only position he wanted to play was quarterback. Then he went to play baseball and found out that he wasn't that good at baseball. He was like, it's like, tight end. I can play another position. Real funny thing about Tebow is that he's the first guy that we know to take a knee, and they love him.
Yeah,
knee taking Tim, and that's why he can come back. First time when he left, he only took one knee. Now to come back, he's on both knees.
The funny thing is I'm gonna tell you all both this now. Urban Meyer is the type of dude that he would probably end up keeping that dude, because Urban Meyer yesterday fired 3 or 4 executives who have a total of 66 years at the Jacksonville Jaguars. And he fired them yesterday. And they had 66 years combined, and fired them. He's cleaning house. So him to, yeah. I can't say, yeah, he might not be. I think Urban Meyer's going in there and he's mixing up the culture and cleaning house, even down to the janitor. I think he's like, how long you been here? You been here how long? Okay, you've been here less than 3 years, you can stay. You've been here 5 years too long, you out of here. That's what he's cleaning the house, bro. So I ain't gonna be surprised if he makes some drastic changes like that. That's just my thoughts. So let me ask you all the next question, man, and I'm starting definitely with Talent on this one, because Talent has been the Lakers guy up in here between the three of us. But he said, Talent, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you not say you thought the Lakers were going back to the finals?
No.
I
don't think so. I said I really believe the Clippers were going to make a change this year. I thought that because of the big letdown last year, remember I said they had a chip on their shoulder, and they're the ones that I'm worried about on the West Coast going back.
Somebody get back in the back. Y'all roll that tape. Get that tape out here. Get that tape out here.
I'm telling you. You don't think so?
Not that I don't think so. I just don't. I thought that, and I could have sworn you said it a couple times. But here's my question to you, Talent. I'm going to start with you. LeBron's going to miss the next 2 games, right? They already are on the brink of between the 7th and 10th. They're literally 6. The next 2 games going to be 3 games, going to be tough games, which without LeBron, they probably will be losses, which means they'll be in a 10th, 11th position. And we have a week and a half to go in the regular season. The Lakers could actually be out of the playoffs, bro, this time next week. Easily.
Yeah, you got to find that tape, because I think you're confusing me with Rodney Perry.
No, Rodney Perry's a Lakers fan. I don't even look at this tape. He thinks the Lakers are in the finals.
No, that's what I'm saying. He thinks they're going. I don't think the Lakers are going. I'm telling you, I said at the beginning of the season, because how they got knocked off last time, I said the Clippers was going to probably make a rally and surprise people and get back. I know they got to be disgusted. I know they got to be disgusted. If I had money to put, I'm putting it on the Clippers coming out of the West. I mean, I'll probably be wrong, but in my heart of hearts, as a ball player, and they didn't get rid of nobody, yeah, they going for it.
Fig, I'm going to come back to you in a second, Town. Fig, what you think? You think the Lakers are going to even make it to the playoffs with LeBron James having, out the next 2 games?
I think they'll make that the play-in roster. I think the play-in is like from 7 to 10. I think they'll make that. I think they'll make it there. But being in the top 6, no, I don't think they're gonna be in the top 6 where they don't have to do that playing round. The funny thing about LeBron James, he said, "I'll never be 100% again. Like not this year, for like forever." He said, "I'll never be 100% again." It just reminded me of that song. I'll never be 100% again. Don't you know I'll never be 100% again?
Hey, it's amazing what chocolate chip cookies do, though, brother.
It's true. It's true.
It's midday afternoon. All right,
it makes you sing.
All right, I'm gonna ask you this in the middle of the day. So, Talent, do you think the Lakers? Because I'm gonna say this on the record. I shouldn't say think. I would not be surprised if the Lakers don't make the playoffs. That's my first part. And my second part is, I think, again, everybody's overlooking the Phoenix Suns. I think Phoenix and Denver, everybody's, is not paying attention to. So those are my teams right now.
Well, you got a good point. I don't think they will not make the playoff. I think that would be that's giving them like zero benefit of the doubt. I'm like Fig. They'll make it, that range with that play in. They got to make that.
Yeah, but the problem is they're getting ready to play Phoenix. They're getting ready to play Denver. I mean, they got 4 really tough games. And if LeBron sits out the rest of the season, like the conversation is, he might sit out the rest of the season. And you now relying on AD to carry that team to the playoffs. I don't see it happening, bro. I don't see it happening.
Well, I don't see them going far. I see them. I see them going to the playoffs. I said I see them doing that. It's like a concert. You're at the gate. You're at the gate. That sure looks fun. You ain't nowhere near the stage at the gate. I see that happening to the Lakers. But see, this is why you know that, and I hate to say it, and Rodney Perry would argue me down, but this is why I call fluke stuff, man. Like, you can't be here and then the very next season all the way here. Like, that's a fluke.
Right.
That's a fluke.
That's it. You want to add to that, Vic?
Yeah, man. I thought they just didn't the Lakers just beat Denver?
Yeah.
Was it? It just beat them. I mean, it looked pretty good. You know what I mean? I mean, look, LeBron James is LeBron James and stuff like that. But with AD, Pau Gasol, they got Andre Drummond, they Caruso, they don't look bad. I mean, they don't look bad. Now, do I think they'll win the championship? No, I don't think they're going to beat like the top tier teams, but I think they might. Without LeBron James, I think they get through maybe 1 or 2 rounds of the playoffs.
No, LeBron comes back for the playoffs. Like I said, my whole point is they got to make it to the playoffs. And if they have the next 5 games they have, if they lose, let's say they go 2-3. You know what I mean? If they go 2-3, they're going to be out the playoffs. They have to go 4-1 on the next couple of play to be in the playoffs, because if they're losing, and the next and they're in that supposed to be in that play-in tournament, and the other 2 teams they're like Golden State wins, and I think it's somebody else, and they start winning. Guess what? Now they're going to be outside the bubble looking in. This is the worst time to me for the Lakers to be having a situation whereas LeBron's sitting out the next 2 or 3 games. That's my point. You know what I
mean? Right now, the Lakers are in the 6th spot right now at 37 and 28.
Right.
And then they would have to lose 4. They would have to lose 4 or 5 games, and everybody behind them would have to win in order to just catch them.
Right. And I saw on ESPN this morning that the other teams that are around them and behind them have the easier schedules, and the Lakers have the last couple of games have a harder schedule, which puts them again when they got to play Phoenix, they got to play Denver, and then somebody else they got to play. If like I said, they cannot lose more games than they win in the next 4 or 5 games. They can't.
You know what would be horrible? If they had to play the Warriors for a one and done, and the Warriors end up beating them.
Wow.
That would be horrible.
And it's very possible, because in the 7-10 series, and if you're in 7-10, you got that one playoff off series, which is the reason why LeBron hates it, because anything can happen in that one particular game. You know what I'm saying?
You know who's in the 7-10 range? The Spurs. Popovich team is always tough. Yeah. You got the Grizzlies. Not worried about the Grizzlies. You got the Warriors. If Steph Curry gets hot, he's unstoppable. You got the Portland Trail Blazers with Carmelo Anthony. Dame time, baby. That ain't good.
That's a Dame beat.
That's why I'm saying right now, the Lakers are having some issues. They could have some issues and actually not be in the playoffs, where everybody's counting them to be in the finals and winning and repeating. I'm just saying right now, that's the big topic. So let me go on to the next
playoffs.
Exactly.
Playoffs.
Now let me go to the next topic. The next big topic that I want to talk about right now is that because Phoenix is playing so well, the name keeps popping up again that this guy, we all know Chris Paul literally should be in the MVP conversation, because the Phoenix Suns are right now one of the best teams in the NBA. So again, talent. Because Phoenix is playing so well, and because Chris Paul literally has turned this team around, should the NBA executives and the NBA coaches make it like almost a unanimous pick? Because we got a week left in the NBA season where they should give Chris Paul this trophy, or should they say, you know what, you could be a runner-up and not get the MVP? What do you think?
I would make the executive decision to make him the MVP. I mean, he earned it, bro. Like, we could look at a lot of people and we can pick out some narrow inconsistencies. We can't do that with Chris Paul, not this year. You know, it's been years and seasons where we could do that with him. This season, I'll be honest with you, you can't. I mean, you talk about a guy showing up night in, night out,
right,
and consistently giving you his all and make the difference maker of his team. He is the most valuable player of that team. That team is doing super well, which makes them the most valuable team, and he's the most valuable player on that team. The numbers add up.
Right. I can't knock that, especially if we're having the same conversation. These writers and everything else are talking about Steph Curry being the so-called MVP. He could be the MVP. If for the same requirements that you want to pick Steph Curry, Chris Paul checks off all those boxes. Fig, agree or disagree?
Well, not the last part of what you said is Steph Curry and Chris Paul really not in the same box, because Chris Paul has a better complement of players on his squad than Steph Curry. But by no stretch of the imagination am I saying Steph Curry. I do agree with Chris Paul simply because although the Suns went 8-0 in the bubble, nobody really, they didn't make the playoffs. They wasn't expected to make the playoffs last year. And this year, with the addition of Chris Paul, they're in the number one spot in the West. They are 47-18. The last 10 games, they went 7-3, and they're leading everybody. The Jazz has the same record, but I think they beat the Jazz out in a head-to-head. So they're in the number one spot, and the only thing you can attribute that to is Chris Paul.
Now you need to clarify the statement you made about the contributing players, because I'm not including contributing players on any team for Chris Paul or Steph Curry. I'm saying head-to-head, with boxes checked off, Steph Curry and Chris Paul should not be in the same category for MVP, whereas a lot of writers and people think that they are. I don't think they are. Chris Paul turned the whole team around and got them a whole lot further ahead than what he has. Then Steph Curry has basically the same team, and what he do? You know what I mean? I don't think it's the same. I don't think it's the same at all.
Well, the reason that I'm saying about Steph Curry is because he doesn't have a complimentary star next to him. That's all I'm talking about. And it's like in order for Steph Curry team to win, he has to do a lot more. But they're not winning. I mean, they're only in the 8th spot. Chris Paul, he could do a lot less, and his team wins because of the players that he has around him. You know, he got Devin Booker, he got DeAndre Ayton. You know what I mean? He just has more players to be able to assist him in getting to where he is. That's what I'm talking about. But I still, because of the wins, I still got Chris Paul ahead of Steph Curry. That's what I'm saying.
Now, I can't disagree with you. I could call in for an argument and to debate, just to debate for debating purposes. I could. But I will say that Chris Paul's team, if you put Chris Paul's team with Golden State's team as is right now, and roster-wise, Phoenix looks like they have a better roster, yes. But it still does look like, if I'm looking from outside in, of course we're not in there, Phoenix looks like they drew up better plays, they play better ball, they move the ball around. Listen, bro, they do everything better, but it all stems from Chris Paul. You know what I mean? It's stemming from him running the team. Not Devin. Devin Booker is great as an off-point guard. You know what I mean? Chris Paul's the man, so he should get the MVP, in my opinion. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Chris Paul as the MVP 100%. I agree with that.
All right, so I'm gonna throw this out to you, Talent. I'm gonna start the next wing up with you. The Bucks just beat the Nets, right? 2 consecutive games in the last 4 days, right? The Bucks beat them, and it was a tight game. And the Bucks was leading both games right now. Now I know people already, people are panicking in New Jersey and everything else. I'm gonna say right now, y'all should slow down. Don't panic right now, not yet, because it's the Bucks. Number one, and number two, my question to you is: should the New Jersey Nets front office be concerned, like the word is coming out? Should they be concerned, or should they look at it like how I'm going to say, don't panic, it's not the playoffs, it's just
they should panic. I watched that game last night. They should panic, and the reason why they should panic is because they had the lead. Deep minutes into the 4th quarter, I blinked. I took a sip of my Hornitos, my tequila for Cinco de Mayo. I blinked, took a sip, blinked, looked back, and they blew that 6-7 point lead they had 4 minutes into the fourth quarter, and not only did they blow the lead, I mean, they blew it in a nasty way. And Kevin Durant needs a haircut. This how bad it was. The guy next to me at the bar, you know, they're trying to come back. Kevin Durant does this coast to coast layup, nice move, right? And I was like, yeah, oh, that's a nice move. And then you know how the camera does. Sometimes they just put that camera and hit you. And his all up in here, right? I said, oh, he got the George Jefferson coming in, right? And the drunk guy next to me said, nuh-uh, that's the Sherman Hemsley. He said, it's real. I said, that was the deepest thing I ever heard in the bar. The dude said, nah, that's the Sherman Hemsley. It's realer than that. I said, yo, that was a hell of an analogy. He's saying not George Jefferson, because that's the character.
Right.
The Sherman Hemsley is realer than that. I
Yo,
said, get this guy a
crazy,
drink
guy.
on me. Get this guy a drink on me. You ain't never lied. Where's the lies? They should panic, because to blow those leads in the fourth quarter, here's my thing. If you was losing the whole thing, is one thing, but to take the lead, and you know this is one of those top 4 teams that you're going to have to be able to beat to get to the chip.
Right.
So to blow the lead in that form and fashion against one of those teams that you're most likely going to have to see to get to the chip coming out the East, you should be concerned. This is your test. Like, I would be less concerned if I lost to somebody who wasn't that good, because I'd be like, that's a one-off. We ain't got to face them for 2 and 7 games. We'll beat the hell out of them. But this is the team you got to see.
Right.
I don't know. I'll work.
Greg, what you think?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. First, big shout out and kudos to Milwaukee, man. They look a lot better. Holiday makes them look a lot better. And Chris Middleton is playing a lot different than I saw him play the previous couple of years. Chris Middleton looks better. Giannis stepped his game up slightly, because he can knock down a shot, and he's not a liability on the foul line. But the reason that I'm not panicking is because if James Harden is able to come back, that's a different animal. James Harden gets them in to their plays and their sets a lot quicker. He moves the ball. And if you leave him for any stretch of the imagination, James Harden will bury you. So if we got James Harden that comes back healthy, I'm not worried.
But here's one thing we cannot overlook. The starters, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. The starters, the New Jersey Nets big 3, they've only played together for 7 games. So don't we have to give them some leeway to at least play together? And the season's running out quickly. So Tal, I'm gonna throw that to you. Do you think that it's gonna be time to panic if they don't get a chance at least 3 or 4 games to play together, which they're not going to get? We shouldn't panic. If you're in Brooklyn, don't worry.
No, you should worry, man. It's the end of the wire, Frank. You're absolute. Listen, you just made the best point. Looking at where we are right now in this season, it's coming to an end. Like, if you don't have it together, that's the other show. We were just talking a day ago, and we were so hyped on the Knicks because of the time of where it is.
Right.
You're getting to your best at the time you need to be at your best.
Right.
We have no more time to give them a minute. They'll gel. They'll come around. Them days is gone, bro. It's the end. It's the end. You can't afford. You guys are treating this like, if you're not panicking, you're treating this like the guy who takes the blue pill. They tell you to wait, let it kick in.
The blue pill.
You ain't got time. She need that thing right.
I just figured out what he was talking about, the blue pill.
Yeah. The funny thing is we heard the whole, the Celtics 3 years ago, 3 seasons ago, when Kyrie was here. Don't worry, we'll gel by the playoffs. We heard that the whole year. They won the first game against Milwaukee, and they got swept after that. So I believe that you got to gel during the season. You can't wait to gel in the playoffs. That's what I believe.
You know what I believe? Look, if you had like a team like the Knicks, we basically got one guy who's a star, Julius Randle, and the rest of the guys are complementary players.
Right.
When you got 3 what we would consider in the NBA on individual teams, each one of these dudes is considered a superstar. And I also believe, this is something that we never mentioned, I believe those guys play together in the offseason because they're hoopers. You know what I mean? Just because the season is over don't mean they don't play. I think they play together and they have a degree of knowing what each other's game is because they played in the offseason together. So I think when they come back, because they play together in the offseason, I think they'll be able to figure it out. I just do. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It depends on who you run into. You might run into that buzzsaw, like Milwaukee if they super hot. But I believe in the three guys playing together.
But you do realize, like, because we all watch basketball, we played, you know, everything else. When you're playing a game, an organized game, it's different than playing pickup. You know what I mean? It's almost, I don't want to say completely different. There are a lot of similarities. But when you're playing a game and the coach is drawing up plays and you gotta do things, because when you're playing pickup ball, you're not setting screens for the guys and running around trying to get the open shot and everything. When you play pickup ball, first dude who gets the ball, he comes down, maybe one pass, somebody shooting it, and they go into the hole. They go into the rack like that. When you have organized ball, for people who don't watch organized ball, is always drawn up plays where you try to get the best one with the open shot. So I understand your point, but I don't know.
Here's something that the commentator said yesterday that also gave me pause. They said, you know, these guys are probably going to see each other in the playoffs. He said, do you think they're putting out their best plays now, knowing that they're going to see these guys down the line? Do you think they're holding something back for the playoffs, or do you think they're putting everything out right now? And quite possibly they may be holding something back. Like, I may not show you how I want to defend Giannis in a regular season because I'm going to see you in the playoffs and you'll be able to figure it out. So I may not be showing you my whole hand. That's something that I'm considering.
If there was a one-off game and you were just playing one-off games, I could understand that. That makes sense if you're having football. But in basketball, that doesn't. I don't think that, because you're playing 4 out of 7. You know what I mean? You got to play 4 out of 7. So you will come up with a defensive plan on how to stop somebody during the series. You know what I mean? You might not have it designed up now.
Let me get this straight, Fig. So you don't show her that you're taking the blue pill. No. You want her to think this is all you, magically delicious. Okay.
Especially the first time. Now, if you're in a long-term relationship, you got the blue pills laid out.
In a long-term relationship, you say stuff like, hand me that blue pill.
If you're in a long-term relationship, you got a blue pill in every room, in the bathroom, the
kitchen. And the truth will set you free. Let me. All right. I want to ask maybe 1 or 2 more questions so we can jump into the couple more headlines and everything else. I'm going to ask you this talent, and I'm going to start with this. Golden State right now, we know the situation, how they are in the playoffs and everything else. Should they make a blockbuster trade before the beginning, during this offseason, before the beginning of next season comes in, because of the way Draymond Green is playing right now? Or should they just say, we'll go just wait till Klay Thompson comes back and figure out what we need to do during the season next year? What's your thoughts on that?
I think they should wait for Klay. Don't haste makes waste, first of all. So you don't get hasty. The minute somebody goes with a long injury, you know they're going to miss a season. I have a thing where I wouldn't panic because you already know this season is going to be different. You know, one of my key guys is down and out, and it's going to be like that for the whole season. So let's just see what we got. You know what I mean? Let's put a Band-Aid on the situation, do the best that we can to get through it, and let the chips fall where they may. But let's not panic because we know he's going to be out. You know, you can't panic when one of your main guys are out like that. You Band-Aid the situation, you rectify as best you can, let the chips fall, and then you come back, fully loaded, and you're back to who you are.
Okay. All right. So, Fig, the question falls to you. Should Golden State make a blockbuster trade this offseason, do something like that, mess with the roster a little bit more, besides the normal additions and everything else, and wait for Klay to come back, or not? What do you think they should do?
When you say blockbuster, I'll just say this, just to clarify what I'm talking about. If you're talking about Steph, Klay, or Draymond, I wouldn't get rid of either one of them. Anybody else, any other pieces, then I think you can move and are interchangeable. But that core three, I think they need to stay because even with Steph and Clay, Draymond and them have a chemistry that you just can't replace that. So just because of chemistry alone, I think you keep those three, and then you could teach everybody else how to play in conjunction with those guys.
All right, but the reason why I brought it up is because the Boston Celtics made a huge mistake at the end of the Larry Bird era. You know what they did? They held on to Bird, Parrish, and McHale too long instead of trading away and getting some great value and some draft picks, when they could have. And then the next thing you know, Robert Parrish ends up going at the end of his career. He's worth nothing. They didn't get anything for it. McHale ends up getting injured. They ain't getting really much for him either. Bird stayed on, and when Bird ended up retiring, he was basically done anyway because he should have retired 3 years early. For his back injuries. I'm presenting that question only because of the simple fact being Draymond Green is not the same Draymond Green player he was 2 years ago. You can clearly see the difference. He's not. So I'm throwing it out there saying if I'm Golden State and I'm sitting there and Talent, correct me if I'm wrong. Well, you already said what you think. If I'm Golden State, you already know you drafted this big kid, last summer. He's getting better and better and better and better. That kid's going to be a beast.
Right.
Like, I promise you, in 2 years, he's going to be a beast. Klay Thompson's coming back next year. Should you not? That's why I said, should you not make a blockbuster trade? And I'm saying Draymond Green, because if you keep him too long and you try to trade him, you're not going to get anything for it. You don't have a great bench right now. They don't have a great bench. So then, you got to do something.
But Draymond's an energy player. And if you don't like the way Draymond's playing right now, you got to realize something. That's all energy. Like, again, you're missing one of your snipers. So his energy's different when he has a fully loaded clip. When the clip is fully loaded, we all know who he is on the court. Right now, he's not fully himself on the court because the clip's not loaded. Mm-hmm. But to do something like a big blockbuster trade right now would be panicking. And then all he's going to go is probably to another team that's loaded and become the Draymond we know.
Yeah, he might for a season or two. That's the risk you take. But for the next 5 years, whereas clearly the rookie you got yesterday, Clay and Steph, they're going to be good for the next 5 years. Draymond is down low. He's getting all the bang and everything else. He's not going to be the player. So, again, it's my opinion. I just throw it out there, see what you guys thought. But speaking of trading,
the one thing that I think is valuable that a lot of people miss is that when you have a veteran in your locker room, even when you get younger players, that veteran has an impact, even if it's nothing but his work ethic. Right. And I don't know anybody that works as hard as Draymond on that squad.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. I agree with it 100%. 100%. But at the same token, if you're the GM, you got to make a trade sooner or later for these guys so you get something for it. Because if you keep winning, look at the NBA draft. If you keep winning, sooner or later, your player's going to get old and you have nothing good coming up after that. And then when they're gone, then you're going to be in a whole bunch of years of not doing well because you did so well for so long. You know what I mean? You got to move some pieces to add some pieces.
I tell you, this whole show is about the blue pill. I'm telling you.
I saw it coming.
Well, speaking of blue pill, let me ask you this. I'm going to throw this out to you. Speaking of blue pill, Fig came on the air last week, and the week before that, every time I threw this question up, Fig kept saying, I don't see it. I don't see it, Frank. I don't see it. And I said, listen, I don't see it in any way that 49ers are going to trade Jimmy G. I don't see it. I don't see it, especially to New England. Now, since we passed the draft, Jimmy G has not been traded. Now, I'm going to still ask you, do you think Talent, and I'm going to start with you first, do you think Jimmy G still can get traded? And do you think the 49ers should trade him?
Oh, well, I don't think they should, but I think absolutely he can still get traded. I think that because we're like funny sportscasters, I think when we hear that first wire, our brain moves a lot faster than the powers that be. So we hear that and we like, oh, it's going to happen. And then a week will go by and go, man, it didn't happen. Because the wire just didn't move as fast as our brains, proposed it to move. We thought it was going to happen overnight and it don't. Trust me, it's only been a week or so we've been talking about. He can still get moved. I don't think they should. But I think that it's a high probability. Yeah, he can still go.
Okay. Fig, the question's now to you. What do you think?
Hey, man, I'll tell you like this. Because of this, what Aaron Rodgers did during the draft, and Green Bay can't really move him until, like, I believe it's June, because if they move him before June, the salary cap hit is maybe like $20 million more or something like that. I think that Jimmy G can still be moved because San Francisco's in the running for Aaron Rodgers right now. I believe it's like the two top teams, I believe, is San Francisco. Well, actually, it's three. San Francisco, I think it's Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders. I think those are the three teams that have the highest potential of being able to land Aaron Rodgers. If it just so happens to be San Francisco, you're not going to keep Jimmy G.
You can't. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, you don't want to keep him. So I think it's still a possibility that he's moved. But I'd like to say I'd give it to June just to see what happens with Aaron Rodgers, because you know Aaron Rodgers is the biggest piece that still probably is going to be moved this year.
All right, last question before we wrap up the show. I'm gonna give you 60 seconds talent. Atlanta Falcons, man, they have Julio Jones on the roster. Do you think Atlanta should keep Julio Jones right now? Or should they try to trade him and get something for him? Because again, Atlanta is turning around. They got a new GM coming in. They got a new coach. They got a new system coming in. New offensive coordinator. They got everything. But they did draft that kid Kyle Pitts out of he's supposed to be one of the best tight ends. Should they keep Julio Jones? See what they got with Matt Ryan, or should they trade Julio Jones and try to get something else for next year? Work out next year. What do you think?
Well, me and Tom Brady, we probably have different opinions. Tom Brady would love to have Julio Jones. But I think you keep him. Again, I'm not a panicker in sports. So I think that you got Matt Ryan, you got Julio Jones, you got the new guy you drafted. I think you see what happened, man. You put that fire on the grill, man. Let's get something cooking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think too much trading and moving around is a sign of panic. And who else better to work with than those two guys to stand together and the new guy coming in?
Okay.
I think you keep them. I think it's better.
60 seconds. What you think?
Yeah, I love it, man. I love Julio Jones, man, because he's a beast. And even though this guy Kyle Pitts has a lot of potential, probably the best tight end to get picked up in this draft, I think that the fact that Julio Jones requires so much attention, it could give Kyle Pitts a chance to ease into the game. You know what I mean? So I think you hold on to a guy like that just to help out the rookie.
I agree with that part. Before we go, that's the show. Before we go, I just saw a news item that there were no HBCU players that were selected in this year's draft. So we're going to have to talk about that tomorrow. I didn't even think about that. And even though we got former NFL players who are now head coaches and about to have two more, we got to talk about that tomorrow, y'all. We got to talk about that. After we have our guest come on, right, Talent?
That's right. Tomorrow, people, Donovan Mitchell Sr. That's right. The man who's responsible for the phenom in the NBA. I'm mad about that fact you just said about the draft. Just they draft nobody from that bank. I'm gonna take my money out of that bank. Or the HSBC. I'm not banking with them anymore. I'm done, son.
Tell everybody how they can follow you, Talent.
Follow your boy on Twitter at It's Just Comedy, Talent the Comedian on Instagram, and King Talent Harris on Facebook. I'm on all them joints. Follow your boy.
Big.
Yo, your boy is back on Facebook at Comedian Fig and all other social media platforms. But Monday through Friday, I'm here on the box seats, 1 to 2 p.m. This is the best damn sports show on TV. If you don't believe me, check us tomorrow when we got the Spider's Daddy.
All right, y'all. We get ready to roll up out of here. He told you the name of the show. The channel is called The Humor Mill. Make sure you download the app. Tell a friend to tell that friend. We thank y'all for watching. Tomorrow, he told you who the guest is, Donovan Mitchell Sr. Make sure you tune in from 1 to 2. Show's called The Box Seat, y'all. Thanks for watching. We'll see y'all. Peace.